Hi everybody, I'm Ellen Gormley and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about different ways to increase in Tunisian crochet. So I'm placing a slip knot on my hook and let's just, I don't know, chain for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do an even number, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it doesn't really matter that it's an even number, but if you're going to increase in the middle of something, I'm just pulling up a loop in the back ridge, back bar, back bump, whatever, in each chain across. And of course, Hobie is ringing the bell because he always does that as soon as I start filming a video. So pull up a loop in each chain across. You should have the same number of loops on your hook as you started out with chains. After loading up the hook with loops, I'm just going to do the traditional return pass, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook, and then repeat the yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook all the way across. Now, what I'm envisioning is when you're making like a raglan top-down sweater. So if you imagine the 4 points at the front of the shoulder, the back of the shoulder, for each shoulder, you are increasing that diagonal seam like a raglan baseball jersey back from the 70s. You know how like the sleeve was a different color and you'd have that diagonal line at the shoulder. Well, if you're making a top-down sweater, you need to increase at that diagonal line. So if we were to make an increase, or if you're making a shawl, like I know Brenda Borg's shawl is going to be using one of these techniques for increasing. So if I want to increase, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches, and I want to increase in the middle, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to increase here in the middle. So I might take a locking stitch marker and kind of mark my place to give me an idea of where I want to increase so that it increases equally on both sides of the stitch marker, making the increase right down the middle. So to increase, there's a couple different methods you can do it for Tunisian crochet. So what I'm going to do is Tunisian simple stitch in each stitch to the marker, or 5 of them rather, because I know I have 5 on each end of the marker. And one way to increase, the way that Brenda is going to be doing for her shawl, is to increase. So I'm going to remove the marker so we can see better. I'm going to increase by pulling up a loop in the horizontal chain that's between the vertical bars and also the vertical bar. So I'm adding one here. Then I'm going to Tunisian simple stitch in each of the remaining 5. So now there will be 11 loops on my hook. I have now increased by 1. The increase is in the middle right here. Okay, do you see it? That's the new one. That's the increased one. So then we will go ahead and yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook, each time all the way across. And we will look at it carefully and make sure we know where the increase is. We know it's always going to be in the middle. We can see it looks different right here. So I might put my stitch marker back on that spot so I know where it is. Just until you become very familiar with how to read your crochet stitches, you might want to mark it. So if I pull the stitch marker out of the way, you can see that it looks different there. So these were worked in the vertical bars. This one was worked in the horizontal bar, and we increased by 1. So Tunisian simple stitch all the way to the marker. Okay. If we want to just increase by 1, what I would do is pull up a loop in the horizontal bar here, and then also skip that one and increase here. So we'd be up to 12 now, and then put in each vertical bar a Tunisian simple stitch. So we're skipping the one, but we're adding one on either side of it. So we're trying to keep it to just increasing once per row. So I should have 12 because we started with 10, we increased by 1. We should have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We've increased by 1 again. So if we are only increasing by 1 stitch each row, we're going to alternate those 2 rows. Okay. Now we have gotten back to the way we were in the first row, which is we have an even number of stitches. We increased here in the horizontal bar and here in the horizontal bar, and we skipped this vertical bar. So I'm going to move this stitch marker up to the horizontal bar between stitches. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side. We're keeping that increase right in the middle. And now we will increase in that horizontal bar again. So we're only increasing by 1 stitch each row. So Tunisian simple to the stitch marker, 1 in each vertical bar. Now we want to increase by adding a stitch in the horizontal bar that goes across. I'm going to remove the stitch marker. And the whole point of this is that by increasing in the horizontal bar, it leaves less of a gap than if you were to do the Tunisian full stitch. I do have a little video on the Tunisian full stitch, and that's another way of increasing, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So now we should have 15 stitches on our hook, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Oh yeah, 13. Sorry. We had only gotten to 12 on the previous one. So 13 is correct. And you can see this increase here in the middle. It's pretty dense. So it's not leaving a huge gap here, but we're still increasing by 1 stitch each time. So you can use this for other Tunisian stitch patterns, but showing you in Tunisian simple stitch is the easiest way to show you how to increase it by using the horizontal bar. And you can see it's already starting to flare out. I had started with 10 stitches and now we're up to 13. So we had 10 on the first row, then we had 11, 12, 13. We're adding 1 stitch for each row. Now, again, we're going back to the second occurrence. We're alternating rows. So when we have an odd number of stitches, we can go ahead and place that Tunisian simple stitch, or I'm sorry, the increase on either side of the vertical bar and skip the vertical bar. So here's another way to do it. Or not another way, but here's another look at the way that I have shown you. So I'm going to call this video, I might make a second video for the other method, but this is the increasing in Tunisian crochet using the horizontal bar. So I would pick up 1 in the horizontal bar there, skip the vertical, and then in the next horizontal bar on the other side of the vertical, pull up another loop, okay? So I'm increasing by 1 here, skipping 1, and then increasing 1. So I have yielded 1 extra stitch per row. Okay, so we had 13 before, we should have 14 loops on the hook at the end of this pull up here. So we're just increasing 1 stitch per row, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yes, we're right on target. And yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2. So this is just a really simple way to increase by 1 stitch in Tunisian crochet using Tunisian simple stitch as our example. But I think it will come in handy when you want to make shaped items. This also comes in handy if you wanted to make a hat. And we will continue to talk about ways to improve our Tunisian crochet. You can check out the Tunisian playlist for righties, the Tunisian playlist for lefties. So I hope you keep on looking. If you're ready for something more advanced, I do have Tunisian playlists for lacy stitch patterns as well.